So, would you please welcome to the lectern my friend, my colleague, our Deputy Prime Minister, Warren Truss.
Well, thank you, Prime Minister, for that very generous introduction. And thank you also for honouring the Nationals Council meeting by being present with us this morning. Ours is a great partnership with a huge task ahead of it. We've started well. We know we have a long way yet to go, but as a team, I'm confident we will deliver the government that Australians want and need for the future. President Christine Ferguson and members of the Federal Management Committee, ministers and parliamentary secretaries and colleagues, Doug Anthony and Peter Nixon and some of our other friends and colleagues from the past, delegates and ladies and gentlemen. It is certainly an important occasion for us as a party, meeting today for the first time since the federal election. Indeed, it's 15 months since our last meeting. And it's interesting to know what an extraordinary year and a bit it's been. One of the most pleasing aspects of the result of the election on September the 7th was that the Nationals made the strongest contribution to the election of a coalition government in at least 3 decades and helped to bring to an end 6 years of the worst government our country had ever seen. The strength of the Nationals has always been its branches and its members. So members and supporters, you have a right to share in this important victory. You played a key role in ensuring that we had the local organisation to mount good campaigns and to have our local candidates elected. I want to thank every booth worker, all of those who are associated with the election campaign, and in particular Scott Mitchell and the Federal Secretariat team who worked so hard for us and work in cooperation with Brian Loughnane and the Liberal team to put together what I thought was an outstanding federal coalition campaign. And also in that regard, let me acknowledge Brad Henderson, who was our federal director in the early part of that campaign period and who also made a terrific contribution. While we naturally enjoy the victories, we never lose sight of why we were here, why we were elected. We didn't create the mess, but we were elected to fix it. And under Tony Abbott's leadership, the Coalition has set about the task with determination and commitment. We have been working on achieving our agenda. We've effectively stopped the boats. Scott Morrison and the men and women of our Border Protection Services and the military have done a fantastic job stopping the boats and restoring the common sense edict that John Howard issued in 2001. We will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances under which they will come. And the ridiculous carbon tax is gone. The reality is that global emissions are growing each year by more than Australia's total emissions. So even if we stopped emitting our 1% of global emissions, it would be meaningless to the global climate. Taxing carbon to make someone in the community feel a bit better about themselves has been a nonsense. It's cost jobs and it's made our industry uncompetitive. Stopping the boats, ending the carbon tax are 2 key commitments that we made in coming to office, and both have been delivered. And in the weeks ahead, we'll be giving the Senate the opportunity to help us deliver on our 3rd key election commitment, getting rid of the mining tax. A mining tax that had been slated to fund $17 billion worth of expenditure, but is only raising a few $100,000. Labor economics in full glare of the spotlight. There is no doubt that we're at a turning point in relation to economic management, that we are suffering brought on because Labor was spending more than we have. Now, clearly, given the state of the parliament, that's not proving all that easy for us to get some of our legislative program on the road. The simple fact is, though, that most, indeed all but about 1% of the budget expenditure measures over the forward estimates have already passed the parliament. All but 20 billion out of 1.8 trillion over four years. So the beginnings of the job are underway. For example, of particular relevance in the regions is a $50 billion commitment on infrastructure expenditure in this country and on lifting national productivity. This is the largest commitment to infrastructure in our nation's history, and I'm proud to be the Minister for Infrastructure charged with the responsibility of implementing this enormous building program. You can be assured that regional Australia has received and will receive a fair share of our nation's investment in our future prosperity. So this government is committed to building the infrastructure Australia needs from the local level up. In addition, we've reopened the sheep, cattle and live export program around the world. We're rebuilding the live cattle trade with Indonesia. We've signed free trade agreements with South Korea and Japan, and China is in the offing. We've completed agreements with all states and territories to implement the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, which involves well over $2 billion in infrastructure upgrades. Delegates, this is a strong list of achievements for a government in its first year. And it's on top, as I said earlier, of achieving targets like stopping the boats and axing the carbon tax. All of these measures have a singular purpose, and that is restoring the prosperity and security of all Australians. It's been a great pleasure and honour for me to lead this party into government. It's a particular privilege to work with Tony Abbott and the coalition team. I'm confident that under our government, Australia will be a better place and will be proud of our country once again and deliver for future generations the kind of lifestyle they want for themselves and their children. Thank you.